You cannot admit you are wrong. You always need to be the smartest person in the room, and it is costing you more energy than you realize. In a mountain monastery, there lived a young monk named Tej. Master Shen had taken him as a student from his very first week, and over 5 years, Tej proved to be exceptionally gifted. He learned fast and remembered everything. He could explain the oldest, most complex teachings with total ease. The younger monks looked up to him, and the older monks quickly took notice of his sharp mind. Everyone could see his brilliance. Tej knew all of this too, but instead of bringing him peace, that knowing sat inside him like a heavy physical stone. When a sharp intellect is used primarily to elevate oneself above others, it stops being a tool. It becomes a dense, invisible weight that isolates you. Tej's need to be right bled into everyday life. When others spoke, he frequently cut in with a better answer. When younger monks made mistakes, he pointed them out clearly and publicly, without a single thought about how his words landed. Slowly, the other monks stopped coming to him. They did their chores on the other side of the courtyard. They talked without him. Tej saw the distance, but he told himself they simply weren't at his level. One afternoon, an old, well-known visiting master came to give a teaching. The entire monastery gathered in the hall. The old man spoke with care, offering ideas that were simple on the surface, but deeply considered. As he listened, Tej heard a statement he believed was incorrect. He immediately raised his hand and spoke in a loud, clear voice, pointing out the visiting master's error to the entire room. Every single monk heard him. The visiting master looked at Tej for a long moment, then continued his teaching without saying a word. The hall went completely quiet. Nobody spoke. Nobody even looked at Tej. The final prize for demanding to be the smartest person in the room is a total vacuum of connection. That heavy silence settled over Tej like a physical force. After the teaching, Master Shen found Tej in the courtyard. He didn't mention the incident in the hall. He told his student to follow him, leading him down a narrow path behind the monastery to the wide open banks of a river. 2 small wooden boats sat at the water's edge. One was completely empty, resting high and light on the water. The other had a massive, heavy stone placed right in the center, pressing the hull deep into the river. Master Shen instructed Tej to push the empty boat out. Tej gave it a light shove, and it moved with almost no effort. The river's current caught the wood, and the boat turned, gliding easily with the natural flow of the water. When a strong rolling wave approached, the empty boat simply lifted over it. Its lack of mass allowed it to rise and fall without taking on a single drop of water. A vessel carrying no extra weight doesn't have to fight the water. It naturally harmonizes with the turbulent forces around it, staying safely above the surface. Then, Master Shen told Tej to push the heavy boat. Tej shoved hard against the wood. It barely moved, grinding slowly against the water's resistance. When the loaded boat finally reached the current, the water pressed hard against its low sides. It rocked violently. A strong wave hit, and the water poured right over the edge, threatening to sink it immediately before Tej dragged it back to the bank. Master Shen asked his student which boat he would want to be in during a storm. Tej looked at the flooded wood and answered quickly, "The empty one. It didn't fight the river." The old master sat on a flat rock and looked at the wet stone sitting in the center of the heavy boat. He explained that a giant rock feels like strength. It feels solid, heavy, and undeniably sure of itself. But in the water, that mass destroys maneuverability. He asked Tej to think about a person who carries their own greatness, exactly like that stone. That person goes through life sitting dangerously low in the water. Every small daily problem requires intense effort to navigate. What feels like unshakable strength is actually a massive structural liability. When you work twice as hard just to stay above water, one unexpected current is all it takes to pull you under entirely. The master pointed to the empty vessel. It didn't float well because of any special design. It floated perfectly because it refused to carry anything extra. It only held exactly what it needed. Shen then asked Tej to think about the teaching hall that afternoon. He asked the young monk what invisible weight he had hauled into that room, and what he needed everyone in that hall to see. Tej looked at the stone in the boat, dark and wet against the wood. He thought about the hall, the way his clear, loud voice had filled the room, and the heavy, airless silence that followed it. Master Shen explained that this heavy stone doesn't arrive all at once. It's picked up slowly, every time you correct someone just to feel right, every time you speak loudly to ensure your greatness is seen, you add an ounce of weight. Arrogance isn't an inherent personality trait. It is a self-imposed burden, built pebble by pebble through thousands of small, unnecessary social defenses. Putting the stone down works the exact same way. You dismantle the weight one small moment at a time. You let someone else be right. You ask a genuine question. You let silence be enough. Tej sat quietly beside his master on the cold bank. He watched the empty boat bob high and easy on the bright, flat water, while the heavy boat sat trapped in the mud, going nowhere. Your ego will always masquerade as strength, but the longer you carry it, the lower you sit. If you refuse to let it go, the next wave will inevitably pull you down. Are you choosing to be the empty boat today? Dropping the desperate need to be right isn't weakness. It is the ultimate act of self-preservation. Put the stone down and let yourself safely navigate the currents of your life.